Imagine walking into a crime scene millions of years after the event. There are no eyewitnesses. To figure out what happened, you have to rely entirely on the physical, developmental, and chemical remnants left behind. That is exactly how evolutionary biology works. This diagram illustrates a concept called monophyletic origin. It shows how life forms, from bacteria to plants to vertebrates, all trace their ancestry back to a single common starting point. To prove this common ancestry, scientists rely on 6 specific categories: fossils, connecting links, comparative anatomy, vestigial organs, embryology, and molecular biology. You'll need to master each one for your exams. The case for evolution rests on these 6 overlapping layers of biological data, each reinforcing the others to form a complete picture of life's history. We start with the rock record. Fossils are petrified remains, molds or footprint impressions of extinct organisms preserved deep within sedimentary rock strata. But the record also contains a paradox: the living fossil. These are currently living species that have survived for millions of years with almost no structural modifications. While a standard transition fossil represents a branch that has long since died out, a living fossil is an active population today. Take the limulus, or king crab, which has remained largely unchanged for nearly 190 million years. Another highly tested example is the latimeria, a lobe-finned fish. These rare survivors provide a live-action look at ancient biological blueprints, bridging the gap between the extinct past and the living present. Beyond the rock record, we find connecting links. These are living organisms that possess the anatomical characteristics of 2 entirely distinct taxonomic groups. The duck-billed platypus exemplifies this dual nature. It lays eggs and has a cloaca, reptilian traits, yet it has hair and mammary glands, which are mammalian. Other links include peripatus, bridging Annelida and Arthropoda, and nidum, a bridge between gymnosperms and angiosperms. Let's test your ability to classify these. Look at this famous specimen, Archaeopteryx. Is this a connecting link, a living fossil, or a missing link? Archaeopteryx is a missing link because it is an extinct fossil. True connecting links must be living populations that provide direct proof of evolutionary transitions. This diagram shows comparative vertebrate hearts, demonstrating homology, shared origins with evolutionary divergence. Fishes possess a 2-chambered heart. Amphibians and reptiles show a 3-chambered heart, with partial blood mixing. Finally, birds and mammals display a completely separated 4-chambered heart. Sometimes these blueprints leave behind remnants called vestigial organs. These are anatomical structures that are reduced and non-functional in present-day organisms, but were fully utilized by ancestors. In humans, 4 examples appear frequently on exams: the vermiform appendix, the nictitating membrane in the corner of the eye, wisdom teeth, and the fused tailbone, or coccyx. Both homologous and vestigial structures demonstrate descent with modification, showing how nature repurposes or gradually abandons old blueprints. Searching deeper into the development process brings us to embryological evidence and the biogenetic law proposed by Ernst Haeckel. Haeckel stated that ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. Essentially, an organism repeats its ancestors' evolutionary stages during embryonic development. You can see this in early vertebrate embryos. Whether fish, bird, or human, they all initially develop pharyngeal gill slits and tails. Finally, we reach the molecular level. Molecular biology provides precise, quantitative proof of evolution. Fundamental metabolic pathways and the universal genetic code are identical across virtually all life. This chart shows the amino acid sequence differences for the respiratory protein cytochrome C. Between a human and a chimp, there is zero difference. Compare a human and a fish, and the 21 amino acid gap acts as a precise molecular clock. When this molecular data perfectly aligns with the fossil record and anatomical structures, the case for common ancestry becomes undeniably solid. From the macroanatomy of a platypus to the microsequence of cytochrome C, all independent lines of evidence point to the same conclusion. Use this final review sheet to summarize the 6 evidentiary categories and the specific examples required for your syllabus. Recognizing these distinctions, especially the difference between an extant link and an extinct fossil, provides the specific detail required for board and NEET exams.